Pronouns to all the blessed beings. Welcome to the discussion on the fourth sutra of Patanjali in Samadhipada. Now, we started off with the first sutra, Atha Yoganushasana, which meant that at this auspicious time we begin the discipline of yoga. There's this word Anushasanam which is used in this. What does the word Anushasanam mean? And why is it relevant to the fourth sutra? Now, Shasana in Sanskrit or in Hindi or Indian languages means the law. It is something which is forced upon individuals by the state or an authority. Whereas when it comes to the word Anushasana, it is a discipline that originates from within. So when they say Atah Yoga Anushasanam, we mean that we begin the discipline of yoga all from a desire from within. Now the next sutra was Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That means cessation of all the fluctuations of the mind was called yoga. Now what is the consequence or parinama of this Chitta Vritti Nirodha has been explained in the third sutra when Patanjali says Tadadrashtu Swarupena Avasthanam. He says that like the placid lake surface which reflects one's true self, when the mind settles with all its fluctuations and remains placid, the drishta or the pure consciousness within you establishes in his original form. Now establishes where? For whose sake? And who is experiencing this? We need to realize that drishta or the knower has two instruments, that of mind and body. It is our own mind and body which will know the true swarupa or the true nature of the self when Chitta Vritti Nirodha occurs. Now coming to the fourth sutra. What happens at other times when there is no cessation of the fluctuations of the activity and activities of the mind are fluctuating? The fourth sutra says Vrittisarupam Itaratra. We will try understanding it from the last word. Itaratra means at other times. At what other times? The other times other than when the Chitta Vritti Nirodha is present. So when the mind is fluctuating. Vrittisarupam. The drishta appears like the activity of the mind at that time. Now we will try and elaborate on this very sutra in the coming few minutes. We will make three statements and move from what we know and can understand logically to what we want to understand about this sutra. Now the first statement is the body is a shadow or a reflection of one's own mind. The second statement is face is the index of mind. And the third statement is mind is housed by the body in its entirety. And what houses in the body is the subconscious mind. Now with these three statements, we will proceed to understand what Patanjali means in his fourth sutra. Now, what is mind? Sometimes we say mind is thoughts. Any other dimension to the mind? Yes. memory, imagination, feelings, all these activities are happening in the mind. But everything boils down to thought. Even memory is a thought. Imagination is a thought. There are basically three sources of the origin for the thought. The first source is the experience of the world through the sense organs, which when convey sensations to the mind, the thought process starts. Now the second source is the memory bank it holds. And the third source is imagination of the mind. But then when it comes to imagination, imagination cannot be outside the basis of memory. Whatever we imagine has to be out of the memory folder that we already have in the mind. It is like stating that the screen of the computer cannot show anything other than what is contained in the hard disk. So when we see all these things, we realize that there are several thoughts that go through the mind every day. But one peculiar aspect which we have not noticed, which we will notice today, is that every thought is associated with a feeling or an emotion. The feeling may be ranging anywhere between a very bad feeling or emotion to a very good feeling or an emotion. But mandatorily, all thoughts are coupled or associated with feelings. Now, why is thought very important? Thought is important because it expresses itself not just as thought but also as a feeling or an emotion or a state of mind. And what this fourth sutra says when it says Vrittisarupam Itaratra is that the very being that you are is nothing but the thoughts and emotions you hold at that particular moment. We will try and understand this a little further. Now I have to tell a small story. There is a friend of mine who is very much interested in being appreciated by others, especially the other gender. So once in a get together, he came, well dressed of course, and the moment he came, one of our friends commented, "Hey, you are looking a lot younger." And the other lady came and commented, "You have lost a lot of weight and you are looking slimmer and smarter too." Once we were in our private circle, we asked him as to what had happened. He said, "I have not lost any weight. It is just that I have dyed my hair black and I am wearing a slim fit today." So, the body which had not changed appeared different because of the makeup that it had received. Maybe dyeing of the hair or maybe a slim fit. Now, the way the clothing and the dressing up of the body makes the body look different in accordance to what it was meant for. Similarly, when it comes to the body and thoughts, the mind houses the thoughts and the body reflects the thoughts and the emotions that the mind holds at that particular time. You might have had a very common experience when people have been asking one another, "Why are you so sad today? You look dejected. You look terrible." Or on the other side, "You're looking very happy. Can you share the good reason with us?" So the body and the face are reflective of the state of mind which is again dependent on the thought and the emotions that are residing at that particular time in your mind. That is what is your being is defined by your thoughts and emotions at that moment means. Now, why is thought very important? Why is emotion very important? Now, every experience that we have, when stored with a certain emotion, goes to that particular file in the memory bank. And every time we have a same or similar experience, the memory bank opens that particular folder. If we have been feeling bad about an incident or an experience, every time such an experience happens or a similar experience happens, I open the box which contains bad memories, bad feelings, and bring it forth, and the same thing is repeated. Now, what is this about emotions? Let us understand that emotions repeatedly occurring in the mind create the mood. Whenever emotions are held for a certain period of time, it creates the mood. When the mood is extended over an extended period of time, it forms the temperament. When temperament is extended over a period of time, it becomes personality trait. And personality traits put together becomes your persona or the very being that you are. And hence, what is the thought and what is the associated emotion with that thought that we experience on a day-to-day basis, moment-to-moment basis becomes very important for us. If I develop this tendency to always entertain negative emotions with any experience, the same thing becomes my habit. Now, what is habit? Habit is anything that we repeatedly do, which means we are becoming good at that. So, whatever we repeatedly do, we become good at that, and that becomes our habit. And in a way, this habit will see to it that the tendencies that we have entertained in the past will start dictating our future or creating our future. How is that? Let us take the example of learning to drive a car. In the beginning, my conscious mind is trying hard to coordinate between my eyes, both the legs and my left hand, which is using the gear. On repeatedly doing the same act, driving becomes a habit. When it becomes a habit, that means it is no longer in the conscious level. It has become an expert, and the subconscious mind has taken over that function. Where is the subconscious mind? It is the body which houses the subconscious mind. So, in a way, all habits are dictating the way this body cultures itself. And whenever we want to change anything, we say we need to keep an open mind to change. So the mind wants to change its emotions and the experiences it has. When it starts doing that, the subconscious mind, which is housed in the body, starts resisting it. Now I want to get up at 5 a.m. from tomorrow and start with the practice of exercise or yoga. Now what does the body do? It says, don't get up. You can wake up at 7 o'clock and then do the same thing. When it is around 7 a.m. in the morning, it says, not today. Why? Because the subconscious mind or the body which has housed that has become habituated to a different culture, the culture of sloth or laziness. So when we say Anushasana, we mean that we need to change from within, because unless we change from within, we cannot initiate any change in the way we think or the way we feel or the way we conduct our lives, and our being cannot change. So what do we have to do? Here, the body which is required to be a slave of the mind has now become the master, and it is dictating the mind as to how to go about and resisting any change that the mind wants to do. So, it is a difficult task when we want to change something. And for that difficult task to be achieved smoothly, Anushasana is the only way. That means discipline coming from within is the only way. That is why we say, mind your mind. Otherwise, you will have to mend yourself when it is too late, and that becomes impossible. So, repeating the fourth sutra for the benefit of all of us. Vrittisarupam itaratra. At other times, your very being is nothing but the thought and emotion that is present in you at that particular moment. Pranams to everyone.